there's one remarkable difference that this government has presented to the world, and that is in restoring the credibility of our country, particularly in terms of good governance and accountability. The level of accountability that existed prior to this government was actually quite woeful, to be honest. We were becoming a pariah on the international stage, and not many people were willing to deal with us in terms of some of our bilaterals. So, in hindsight, we were fortunate that the government changed when it did, because immediately after, we had the COVID-19 pandemic hit the entire planet. Now, had we still continued into the pandemic with that low credibility, I wonder what might have been. While the world's economy was contracting, we could have cut back our budget. But this government, the Marape government, made a very bold decision. Na government em talk. Suppose me cutting back lo health, na education, na me cutting back lo this lo something ya. Law and order, people blah suffer because things were already bad enough. Cutting back would have made things worse. But in the case of ECP, Mr. Speaker, the decision of the national government didn't just help us to maintain services. We actually expanded services, Mr. Speaker. Because the funding levels were maintained and because we were strict at home. Mr. Speaker, lo ECP mibla clamped down lo pasin law. Kekeman pasin lo stealing money here. But there are some roads in our province that have been closed for more than 30 years. Thanks to the Marape government in the last 3 years, mibla kissing money. And we finally fixed some of those roads. They are open now. Plandium, 5 years after independence, all pass. All pass, go in up. Last 2 years, that's all start to open up. They opened up during the pandemic, during the most difficult time in the history of the world, because the government maintained its level of spending to maintain services. We were able to open things up in ECP. Right now, as I stand before you, we are maintaining close to 30 health centers, 30 plus. These were never maintained since they were built 40 years ago. Well, we are maintaining them now. During a global pandemic, during an economic downturn across the world, we are maintaining those services. Now, we would not have done so. Suppose Marape government decide to cut him expenditure. I personally had arguments with the Prime Minister, and Prime Minister said to me, no, we have to borrow. So me sanap lo here lo admit mosem, me been wrong, na Prime Minister want him treasurer been right. I'm happy to admit that on this floor, Mr. Speaker. Because in hindsight, as I look back, that decision, I'm helping people blomina. Me must look sabe na, talk out na, talk straight na. I have to give, my applause for a job well done.